Yay.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hello. Good evening.
Italy in the house.
Yeah. Yes.
Except you're not in Italy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole South.
Yeah, you are Joseph, and Andrea is, but Gaetano is in Barcelona.
I'm in Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah, nice, cool. Good to see you all. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Been a while, yes.
Yeah.
And
Good
always connected. Music connects. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Are you're in? You told us you're in at your mom's house, and you brought some gear with you.
Yeah. I've been 3 months in Barcelona, where I live. My house there. I live since 9 years now. Yes. And then after 3 months of lockdown, I say, okay, I'm gonna go back to family. Yeah, I'm in my parents' house. It's like since the end of June. And now, I'm thinking to go back a little bit in Barcelona. I miss my studio, I have things there. But, with the lockdown, you could not even go to the studio because my studio is like 10 minutes away from my house. And it's not the same spirit, when you cannot, you don't have time, you have some particular time in the day you can go. If you want to spend the night there, you cannot come back, in the night home. It was not the best time to work in the studio, but I made a lot of music, even in my home studio, of course. And then I came here by my car, and I took a ferry from Barcelona to Civitavecchia, which is close to Rome. And then I drove here, and then I'm, it's coming back to the roots. This is the room, it's my, bedroom when I was living here, and this is where everything started. This corner here, I was playing records. Yeah, it's quite special.
And you can enjoy your mom's food.
Oh yeah, this is the best. I got some kilos at the beginning, and then I said, get me back to the personal trainer. I need to work out, and then now I feel okay. But it's lovely to be here, of course.
It's
but,
typical.
Yeah. It's the mama food,
Yeah, like 10 seconds into the conversation with Italian people, and it's already about food. I love it.
You have a special connection with Italy, right? It's like
we could go on for hours.
Your first gigs, like you there's some legendary gigs you made, like in '91. This Rome, rain.
Those were crazy times. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy,
Yeah. I mean, since '91, I've basically traveled to Italy. I don't know, every couple of months, really. I think I've seen every club in every city in Italy, and I love it. I mean, there's so many amazing places there.
We met in Napoli, if you remember, was like 16 years ago, 15 years ago, in Old River Park. That was first time, and you were doing you and Chris Liebing collabs. Then we met. I started to play with the guys of Old River, and then I remember I played before you guys in NNC, Golden Gate, and then I remember this night you got food poisoned. I remember you were completely sick, and you still played. I was like, oh my god, I never forget. And then I made that track. Was released on Drum Code, actually. It was called Food Poison. And then, I was thinking about you. I made the track the day after. It's nice.
Yeah, those were good times. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, but Italy is, I consider it as my second country almost, because I've been there so many times.
Good to hear.
Yeah, always enjoying the audience there and the food, of course.
Also, some artists, you have a lot of friends over here, like also Napolitan techno legends, and I remember you have some great friends and artists, of course, in Italy, Rome as well. I remember Donato Dozzi, right? Also is a good friend of you or something, or maybe that crew. I don't remember. Maybe DJ Red as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Some some of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Donato, and we talk and everything, but we are not really close. But
Okay, nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
he's
still
a
the
good.
plan of doing something together at some point. But who knows? I see some friends showing up. John Esther,
Yeah.
he was here. He was here last week. What's up,
Ah,
John?
Yeah.
nice.
I listened to
Cool.
your album, John. It's wicked. And
There.
Robin, I saw Robin checking in as well. So
Yeah, Lady
see
Starlight.
everybody. Good to see everybody checking in. Colin is here too. I see Colin. What's up?
Wow.
Nice
Yeah.
one.
Like, amazing.
Lady Starlight, she's amazing. I never met her, but
Oh,
huge
did
respect for her.
Did we miss that, Lady Starlight?
Yeah, she
Anyway.
wrote a comment. It's
Okay.
a nice occasion to say hi and
Hello,
much respect.
Colleen. So yeah, I see. My eyes are drawn to, of course, the gear in Gaetano's place. Is this your? This I guess is this your studio, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the basement of my house. And yeah, I built this studio 4 years ago. Actually, I bring, when you start to build the studio, because I start from scratch. This is box in the box in a radio building, and so
That's proper, man. A box in a box.
yeah, like because for the acoustic um, isolation and stuff like that is like I don't want. I have neighbors upstairs, and the next neighbors is me, and then there is but this is an old building, so I have to be sure that I feel comfortable. So without any stress. So I build this studio and I bring all my old machines here in there, and then I change it. I changed my way to work. Like before, I used to have a mixer, and now is an hybrid between digital and analog stuff. We can talk later about what I miss, because I really miss something about.
Okay. Yeah, you can talk about it now. But I was wondering, did you actually build your studio, and did you do the box construction yourself, or did you have it done by a company?
Okay, I was in front of position like everyone to challenge these things, because a studio is really a challenge thing, is a bet, because
Mhm.
I think there are only three options. One is the amateur one, so the cheapest one. The third one is the most expensive, that you bring engineers, and they follow all the process about building the studio and its construction. And then I adopted the second, the one in the middle, and this is called a company in Portugal called Big Acoustic. And actually, they work with majors and stuff like that, and they build this kind of acoustic panels that I have behind, and they have the option, when you go on their website, they have a software, and this software, you give them the planimetry of your studio, the materials of the, and they try to give you like a setup that could work for your studio, your environment.
Okay, so you give them the metrics, and do you also give them some sound recordings, like an impulse response kind of thing, so they can hear the reverb and the.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
And
And does it work? Does it work? Did it work out well?
actually, when I came in, I was so afraid, because you start in the studio, you so much struggling to get your own studio cabling, and so at the end, I was really happy. But the first thing that I did, I call another producer. In this case, was Martin Budrich. That for me, it's like he got really, really sensitive with here. So
Yeah,
I
Martin is crazy. Yeah, he's
yeah,
amazing.
I asked him to bring this a track for that he got as a reference, and I asked him to get in the studio. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to influence him in Hangout. And when he came out, sounds really, really good. So I'm really happy because, as you can see, this like it's weird, weird. I mean, it's not. I have some stones in there, and this is from the ancient wall, like of the building, these stones, and I have an arch over there.
Hmm.
My ceiling is an arch. Okay,
Ah, nice.
okay. So it
So
was.
you're in the sewers.
So when you go through internet and you want to learn and understand how it works, because you wanna do the best. All the example that they give you is like a box, a square that doesn't have to be like it has to be symmetric, this kind of things. But no one has an arch. I didn't
Mm.
find things with an arch, but actually it works pretty well because I'm really happy. I feel
It sounds
comfortable.
very well. I've been there. I test the album tracks there after the masterings, and also the tracks I made in Barcelona during the lockdown. It sounds very, very well. You realize every mistake. So I get back to the studio. I was like, okay, it's nice, nice.
So is the sound good everywhere, or do you have a sweet spot where you?
I have a switch spot. I
Okay.
it's not that big. Of course, I have the background is like the club vibes, with the bass that is coming.
How is for you, Joachim? How is your studio? Like, how you listen the tracks? There is a spot there because it's huge. So I see you have maybe you have a spot of the room where you realize the frequencies of things, or there is another. I don't
Well,
know.
I've got some pretty big speakers in here, and
Mhm.
but they're mastering speakers, so obviously the position.
It's important the position, right? So
No, no,
you
no.
have
The
to.
position where you want when you really want to hear
Okay.
every single detail and have the full image. You have to
Okay.
be kind of in the area where I'm sitting now. Where
Okay.
the
Nice.
computer is. Where the recording takes place. But the sound travels all the way. The sound travels very well all the way to the back. So they're big enough to cover a lot of space. So
Nice.
the whole place behind me here, where usually the live recording is happening,
Uh-huh.
with the jamming, like the hardware stuff. The sound is very good. There's not a moment when you think what's going on. It's always there, and it's always filling the room. Which is
I can
great.
see you have
But
panels there as
Great.
well.
Really great.
yeah, but
You
it's all
separate
hippie
it.
treatment. There's nothing scientific about it. I'm in
Okay.
an old. This is a bunker basically, and there's a few floors of offices upstairs, and when we came here, it was all deserted. It was empty, and there was lots of material lying around, like ceiling plates and insulation stuff. So we basically gathered everything and made it into soundproofing, like just recycled it to have some fun
Is
here in
it
the
where you
studio.
live, or you have to go somewhere? It's
No, it's close to my house. It's very close.
nice. Goes by much better. Yeah, this is an
It's like
important.
a 4-minute bike ride,
Okay.
and
Amazing.
it's a 10-minute walk, so it's easy.
Great.
But yeah, so there is soundproofing, but it's basically all done by ear. Just I've never really done any uh, studio scientific soundproofing. It's just by ear basically. When I think it sounds nice, I can't stand dead rooms. I have a very hard time being in a completely soundproof studio. I just don't like the vibe there. So
Interesting.
there is a little bit of a tail going on in sort of the low mid range a little bit. So, but I know it. I know where to listen for or what to listen
Yeah.
for, and it doesn't bother me. It's just the room sounds a bit more alive than an untreated studio, but it's still muffled enough and bass trapped enough to get a very solid direct sound without delays or without things
It's
being out of phase.
interesting what you say because um, it's very
I have to feel
important.
good, I have to feel good. I have to feel the vibe. That's the most important thing. For me in the studio, you have to feel like you want to create something, and you want to be in that place. You don't have to. Don't want to feel trapped, or you don't want to feel uncomfortable because it's too scientific and too studio like. This is just a living room, just a place to hang out and do creative stuff. Just feel
I
at
think
home.
it's very interesting thing, because what I see, of course, nowadays more, because there's many option to produce, and many people I know, they just call the engineers, okay, make me a studio, but you have always to follow your air. You always to have to feel comfortable in a place. And I stepped in some studios. They were really like, as you say, there are some studio that there is no noise. It's like just it's like a capsule, and it's not for me, and I think also for you, as you say, it is not very necessary. That it's very important, how you feel in a room, and then you take time. Of course, whenever you buy a studio, it's not like, okay, it's gonna be sound great at the beginning. You make changes, and it's just about what you want. It's not every studio can sound perfect for everyone. I think it's
Sure.
what I've experienced. Then
As long
You
as
have
you
to know
feel,
the room.
of course, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, how's
And
that for
I
you,
think also,
Andrea?
I mean, I'm in a transitional moment, so my studio is just like half plugged and in a common room. But also here, I realized that, for example, I'm using a subwoofer, which is usually very not suggested if you have a not written room. But I can say that it helped me, because it depends also on what music you're doing. I think for techno and club music, the subwoofer is essential. So I'm working very precisely about like 50 hertz, 40 hertz, this kind of frequencies. I can adjust the kick drums on this frequency about very few milliseconds, too long, too short, to not to be like in phase with the bass. And I think that you have to know the room, and my workflow, for example, is always having a tour about different listening points, like studio friends, house, and machine. The car, of course, is the perfect test. So I always compare it with different sound systems, and I have, okay, it sounds good on different speakers. Makes sense.
Yeah, I do the same basically. So I consider this space mainly a space for creating stuff,
Yeah.
and I know 95% sure most of the time how it's going to translate to other systems. But sometimes you do get some details wrong. Sometimes you get some because the sound system here is so revealing. You hear absolutely everything from the highest highs to the lowest bottom. It's all there. But to see how it translates to other systems, the way some people might listen to it on
Yeah, of
headphones,
course.
or even earbuds or a Bluetooth speaker or something. I play it there just to see how it holds up on those other systems, and then sometimes make adjustments. But that is just a matter of how it translates and not how it feels. If the here I'm only concerned up to the sort of the last stage on how it feels. How the vibe is. I mix for vibe, not for with in my mind the mastered sound. It's basically that's the last step. That's one sort of fix in the last stage where you kind of make it in such a way that it translates well on other systems too. But
Do you
before
have a
that, it's
subwoofer? Do you use a subwoofer too?
yeah.
You Gaetano, because I never had a subwoofer in the studio. You recommend to, as Andrea said,
If you have the
maybe.
space, because not
Okay,
all
right.
room.
Yeah, okay.
Some I mean, basically, yeah.
Because I never
Sometimes
used. But I think it's something else. Of course, if the space. Yeah,
My
but
subwoofer, for example, is like at one, like volume, or around one. It's just to give me that like band frequencies that I can't hear with the.
But you use it always or just after what you
No, I
try?
use it always. I use it
Always. Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I prefer to listen the mid high frequencies because the subwoofer, if the room is not right, I don't know if my room is not right. It's quite big, but I'm scared that maybe you don't listen the mid high frequencies.
Depends
And
the
then
volume that you use it.
right.
And also, most subwoofers these days, they are part of systems which are active systems, and subwoofers can be bypassed. There's a crossover and an
Sure.
amplifier
Yeah.
inside the subwoofer, so you can basically use your near fields for your usual sort of listening and creating stuff, and then you can switch on the sub just to see what's going on in the lowest
Okay.
octave, just to double check.
Yeah.
I can switch it off here too, but it's usually always on because it sounds nice. But it's like Andrea's example. It's just there to complement the rest of the system. So it's not, if you switch it off, the sound is exactly the same. It just doesn't go as low.
Nice. Okay.
There's
use Gaetano,
less
right?
energy.
Gaetano has as well, right? You have a subwoofer too.
No, actually, because I still have my old Genelec. They're, I think, more than 20 years old, and they are kind of subby, and they're really pleasant to hear and listen it to. And I don't need the sub. I was thinking to buy a sub when to have that extra punch, but I have a kind of speaker. To be honest, probably they are not the most accurate, and accurate is the word, I think, to have a proper listen to be radical, on the frequencies, to listen to all the frequencies. But I get used to that. So because I think you have to put, at the end of the list, what is which is the best result for you. And if you are really used to have to listen a certain sound, probably you should go. I was trying. I took a lot of time to move on to have find different speakers. At the moment, I'm still stuck with Genelec. It's I don't need any sub anyway.
And the NS10, of course, to listen the flat. I remember this all
you
the
need
school.
to know your equipment. That's the point, because I knew a guy so many years ago that he was like producing with very small Yamaha speakers, and like was kind of cut out up under maybe 8 years. I could never, but it was like so near and so low that he could like use them like headphones. And so at some point he was very able to mix the low frequency in a precise way that I was, for example, before the subwoofer, I was producing with a MADI bass, and so I couldn't hear like the kick length and all this stuff that were colliding each other. And so I always...
It's not something surprising, because when I start to produce, I start in a very humble way. I think everyone, but I was producing with the computer hi-fi speakers. I didn't have money, of course, with my home computer, and I was to feel the bass. If the bass was right, I was putting the hand on top, and I was because it was sounding bad, and I was feeling if there was some vibration. I was like, okay, it's okay. And then I was going to
another level
to Rino Cerrone studio and Marcantonio studio in Napoli, and they were like, Joseph, they're okay, but just give me the parts. I'm gonna mix for you. And they were mixing for me on the Mackie mixer. They made my first mixes, and I will never forget.
How far off were they? Were they actually really far off the way they should be sounding, or did you get it just a little bit wrong?
yeah, a little bit wrong. And then
Yeah,
I made my first records like that. This is very special, just with the hand to feel the bass.
yeah.
It's all what you said before. It's about your hair, what what you feel from the room. I didn't have a room; was this room, and
Mm.
yeah, I will never forget this. It's a special thing, and they were not so far. Then I realized how slowly to mix, with that speakers. Yeah, this is my beginning.
Well, it's a good thing, you know. I mean, I learned to play vinyl on like very shitty belt driven turntables, you know.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
One
like
Something like
one
that.
with finger. I didn't have pitch control, so one with finger
Or
with
you
the high
move,
five.
you
yeah,
go for like ever.
I still have it. I have it
yeah.
here. I don't know where is it, but it's my
Then
grandma hi-fi turntable. Also with
Yeah.
this.
But it's great because once you move to better equipment, you know, you have you have the feeling of how you want to do it. You know, it's a good start. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know how shitty your gear is. It makes you work
Yeah.
harder. It's great.
Joachim, have you ever tried to mix with in-ear headphones?
Yeah, I used to. Yeah, I've had two pairs. I think, like three-way in ear, like proper hi-fi. Um, but to be honest, I tended to. I mean, they sound fantastic when you listen to music. You know, they have a really immersive sound and very accurate too. But I just it does feel a little bit to me like a soundproofed room, you know, because it sort of disconnects you from the outside world, and it's not a pleasant
This is
feeling for me. It's yeah, and I also you because you miss the acoustics and the physical bass and physical sound in the room, you tend to play them louder than you should, and then your ears get fatigued very quickly. I would even, you know, I would rather just have a pair of cheapo hi-fi speakers to create music on, just to have a sort of an idea what's going on, but rather than just headphones don't, you know, I use headphones to check mixes for especially, you know, the stereo field and stuff like that. And
Which kind of
but
headphones for the
right
studio?
now I'm wearing these, the Biodynamics, what is it, DT 9090 990 or something. And I've got a pair of Sony's, um,
Mhm.
and it doesn't really matter. It's just it's not about the sound or the relations of the sound. It's more about the stereo field for me when I listen on headphones, just to double check basically.
because it
Um,
was the classic, it was another option to avoid when you have the problem of the sound. Um, um,
let's say hello to Caspian. Caspian, what's up, dude?
when you have a problem with the acoustic in your room, that could be another option to have like in your headphone. I know it's something that it's a second
Yeah,
option.
for me, exactly. It's for me, it would work as a double check thing, like a second pair of monitors, but never to completely work on. Actually, I've recorded an entire album on headphones, but it wasn't it wasn't the ideal situation, you know.
Okay,
It can be done. Oh,
was the best selling.
one of the best, yes. So there's a question from Oxycope. Um, if we are using Oratones, those are these small speakers. Sometimes people use them as just one mono source, or they have to, you know, a pair. Basically they have the same function as the NS10s. You know, you can listen to music, you know, and just check how it translates on smaller systems. The bass cuts off, I think, under 60 hertz or something, or even higher, and they have a very clear sound. Does anybody of you
No, I never
use
used
them?
them.
What I do actually, I use the old NS10, and then
Yeah,
actually, because like 90% of the people listen music through a computer, laptop, or something like that. I really check my stuff on really like computer speakers, headphones, of course, and try to have this balance. So my reference for hi-fi speakers is an S10. I still use that.
I like to listen to records in the car. In the car is like, where you.
Yeah, the car is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah. If you know your car system, of course, it's like we were talking before. But yes, it's the last. Not the last. Maybe the last is the club, of course, the last proof. But yeah, the car is you can understand a lot, especially on house records. I'm doing a lot of house records, as well, and more like instrumental and more, uh, vocals. The car is a good proof. It's a really nice proof. It's like more radiophonic.
Yeah. Do you actually check your unmastered tracks in a club, or
Yes,
because
yes,
I never do. I never do.
Um, I do because when I mix, when I produce a track, I always try. Well, I know I always try. Now I always do like that. I always mix every single sound as it was a final mix. So when I do the export or the recording, it sounds good. It sounds already good for what I want, of course. In the past, I was, producing and then doing the mix at the end. Now I try to do every single sound already quite mixed, so they sound pretty similar to the master. Of course, the master is the next level, but I realize, step by step what is going on already. This is, it's my personal way of produce. There's people that they mix at the end, but I like to spend more time on the production to mix in the right moment, in the same
Do you
moment. So,
do you mix in the box?
sorry.
Do you mix inside the computer?
First, and then I have a little mixer. I have a little Allen mixer in the studio, which I make the second way of mixing. But a lot, in the dough, in the computer. Yes,
Do you
it's
use Ableton?
yes, Ableton. Yes,
Okay.
Ableton. But in the last period, I'm especially for the album that I just released, which is kind of very different than what I was doing before, but it's very simple. It's more house and minimalistic stuff, and it can sound like quite simple, but I had to have a very special mix and mastering because that small sound, I wanted them to sound pretty pretty fat and big, and I could not. To be honest, I'm honest. By my kind of mix, I was not happy because I say, okay, I need something else. So I've been to Berlin to a very special, it's a guy I respect a lot. It's Tobias Friend. I tried first Hannes Bigger, which is also a great mixer guy in Berlin, but we made the first, step of mixing with him, and then I chose a few tracks that for me sounded good. But for the album, I've been to mix the tracks in another studio with a real engineer. This guy is Tobias Friend. I don't know if you know him. He works also for Ostgut. He made a great job on the house tracks and the cinematic stuffs I did, and it's
So basically, he's you give him the stems, you bounce stuff out of Ableton,
yes,
and
it's first time I did this. I
as
never did this before, but as this album was something different, and to be honest, I wanted a quality that I was not having it, and it was simple because he was happy with the stems because he said they sound already good, but what I wanted was something that he did. So, but for the stuffs I'm doing normally, and I'm gonna release soon. I just do by myself. Just the mastering, I don't do the masterings. This is what I'm not able to do, to be honest. I'm studying. I'm always learning, and it's something I will get there, because I know friends like you as well. You made mastering by yourself, but this is my next step, to do masterings. But it takes time. I don't want to do things. What I've learned, I don't want to rush, like to buy things that you don't. At the end, you buy things that other people has, and then you do mistakes that you don't need that. So
if you really want to know how to mix, take a trip to Tadeo.
Yeah.
He was just there. Yeah, he's also teaching stuff. He's a teacher,
Nice.
music teacher.
I know Tadeo. I know.
Yeah.
I don't see him from like 9 years, something like this. But I remember when he was. We played together in few gigs with Alex Sunder. The Madrid crew, and wow, it's amazing to know. And yeah, guys, I'm still learning. Everybody still learns, but I'm just
absolutely every day. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this. I've never tried having other people's mixing my stems, but usually I do all the mixing myself, not the mastering. Although I do sometimes do the mastering too, but I consider mastering a good step because it's done by another person, who has fresh ears, who is not attached to things in the music that you are maybe proud of and don't want to let go of.
So you don't do masterings.
Sorry.
So you don't do your masterings.
Usually I don't. No.
Okay.
Sometimes I do, but I would say 95% of the time
good to know.
I don't. But yeah, because the thing is, you all know when you're making music, you have things start from a certain idea, and you get attached to it. You fall in love with a certain sound or how sounds work together, and then when it comes to mastering, sometimes you need to say goodbye to these things. You have to let it go, and you might not want to. It's wrong, or it doesn't work. On every system, it's maybe just that little sound in your studio which sounds amazing, but it doesn't. Nobody else hears it on any other system, or you would never. You know what I mean, Gaetano? It's like one of these things you are totally obsessed with while you're making it, but it's just not. It's just not right.
You've been working there for hours.
Yeah, and then when you master your own track, you just have to get over it and just
this is like
you have to let it go.
Let it go, exactly. Be a producer is really psychological challenge every time for many things. Like even this one, you have to let it go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, but I never tried stem mixing. But I imagine it is a similar thing. You basically you design, you make your track, and then you get to a certain point, you're happy with it, but you just want somebody to have a fresh pair of ears working on the mix of your track, right, Joseph? Is that the reason why you do it, just to get to a next level?
It's also because I'm doing new kind of music that I never did before, but I wanted to do. For example, house music, proper classic house music is my dream. Was my dream to produce it, because I start with that when I was 11 years old and I started to play. Till 16, I was only house guy, and
11.
Yeah, 11. Yes, 11 years old. This is when I start to play, and as I told you, with the finger, 2 records for 8 months. Well, this is another story. But it was only classic house music, and I grew up in Napoli. Scene. I'm from Caserta, but the music scene was in Napoli, and they were doing this group of promoters, Angels of Love. They were doing every week, like Louis Vega, Danny Tenaya. I heard all, of the best, DJs from house music scene, and I was going there. I told to my mom, I was 14. Oh, mom, I go to sleep to my friend's house, and I was going there. But
climb out of the window.
Yeah. It was my dream to do that, but it came naturally, because I never wanted to do something I was not able to do it, and it came naturally to to produce that. And also I've slowly learned. I was in the studio with Louis Vega. We made a track together as well. He's one of the most house music legends. Also Eric Capper which is the Frankie Knuckles studio producer. And I have a very photographic memory, and I was watching them how they was doing it. It's a completely different process than techno music, and it's more about more pop. It's kind of the kind of mix. And in the last album, I've started this new chapter, which is gonna continue, but it's just the beginning. I have few other house tracks also coming, which is one with Arnold Jervis. I don't know if you know him, but he's a.
Oops.
It's gone.
We will
know.
I think Joseph didn't pay.
Okay.
He didn't pay the internet bill.
We will know it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I don't.
Oh.
You didn't have to mention someone they wanted to.
Maybe
I think
Arnold was like, okay, let me cut. He doesn't have to know.
It's probably all the name dropping, man.
Yeah.
And it's not about a next level, because I'm happy with what I do in the studio for my things, but I maybe it was not usual for me. It's not usual for me to give my stamps to somebody. I will never think to do this, which is it's something new. But for an album, I think you can do it. An album, especially if it includes some house stuff, cinematic stuff, and you want to have a solid quality, for the whole tracks. I think it's something you can think to do. Also, Louis Vega, for example, these house legends, they do this, for their tracks. They produce in the studio, then they go in a big engineer studio, with the Neve mixer, like a real pop, touch.
Were you attending those sessions where these guys mixed your records, or did you just send them the stuff? And
half and half. When you realize
that must be a great learning experience if you actually
I've
attend.
been to Berlin. I've been to Berlin two
right.
times.
Okay. Yeah.
But when you then I've been one time, and the guys gave me the mixing, and then I've been to the club, and I was like, this must to change. You realize it's not what you really want, because not every engineer can understand what you want. Then I came back, and then I say, okay, now you understood. I've been back to the clubs and played again the tracks, and when I realized they understood what I want, then I say, okay, I can feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Send you the stand, and that was easy. With just 2 sessions. There, it was great, good experience. But for the next things, I'm gonna do singles and EPs. I'm now taking the time because I'm not traveling as everyone, and I'm producing a lot of things. Also in the Gaetano studio, we listen some new things. You remember? And you told me about they were sounding good. Because your studio,
really balanced. I was surprised. No,
yeah, and I did all in my home studio, so it's I'm very happy because this time I'm also learning more and more and more about how to have a better quality on my stuffs. And when I've been to Gaetano studio, I had a great proof. I was like, wow, Gaetano, I didn't realize, and it's amazing, I'm very excited, and it's good to have some time, to have, which is a long time now, but it's good to be in the studio again. And I will never, after this experience, when we will get back to travel, I will always have time to stay in the studio more than before. It's super important for me. It's very inspiring, make you excited, and it's therapeutic. It's a kind of therapy.
It is just impossible, man. If you have a non-stop traveling schedule to really sort of dig deep and properly write.
I did this mistake. For 3-4 years.
you can do stuff, you can get stuff done, but by Thursday it's already Thursday, and you have to be back on the road
to
Friday.
recover. You take 2
Yeah,
days to
exactly.
recover.
So it's I've especially in the last years I've taken weekends off, like one weekend a month, or maybe sometimes 2 or 3, just to relax and just to allocate some time to do proper studio sessions, because
I do as well. I do as well since the
yeah.
last 3-4 years, but I made mistakes. I mean, it's not a mistake; it's experience.
Yeah.
But I did too much. Like 3 years ago till 7-8 years ago, I played a lot. I was tired. It's like you cannot even have time to make to listen a lot of promos. It's important to go every gig you do. It's super important to give the best of you every time. It's not, it's great to be fresh as well. But I'm gonna do more, much more. It's, as you say, it's important. It's proper recharge, to be in the studio as well. But sometimes it's also good to take some time off from the studio. This is what I've done before to release the last album. I didn't produce for 4 years, something like this, because I wanted really to do something else, and I took 3 years to produce this album. I mean, of course, because I was traveling, I was doing something, one month, then waiting 2 months, and doing another track, but it was in a different times and different kind of tracks. But it's it's a lesson I've learned. It's very important for me to take this lesson from this period. I
good.
want to make a lot of music. It's a lot of new music.
Looking forward to the new stuff, man.
Yeah.
So Andrea, do you do your own mastering, and have you ever done having other people's do your stem mixing, or do you do everything yourself?
No, I mean mastering, not of course, because it's something. Sorry, it's something that requires a lot of knowledge. I mean, I like to attend the mastering session because I like to see what is doing, and also on the phase checking and the frequency, and even if you are doing mastering for vinyl or for digital, it changes. But no, I'm not doing mastering by myself. I'm doing mixes by myself. That's yes, because I only do like this stem mixing when I'm like collaborating maybe with someone, and then sometimes, because I think that also mix can be quite expressive kind of and creative. It's a matter of taste somehow, when you have some frequencies and you think they are colliding and you want to reduce frequencies instead of boosting them, so you can really change the sound of every single sound in your mix with a bit of EQing and like saturation, more or less reverb and effects. And so I like to do it by myself because it's very creative.
Do you mix in the box inside the computer?
I've tried all the different approach during these years, and I was like at the beginning very focused on the like live setup where you do your stuff on the mix desk, and you need to have 24 channels every time in direct out and everything. But in the end, I always ended up doing it in the box. I mean, because I was really needing too much stuff. If I have to do the mix out of the box, I would have needed like a compressor, about €1,000 compressor, and like EQing API, channel strips and stuff. And so in the end, I really love the UAD and the waves suite. So I like to do everything in a box. Even if
And what DAW do you use?
I use Ableton. I mean, I was also using Pro Tools some moments because I was like, okay, let's do it professional. But in the end, yeah, in the end, I think that they worked so much on the engine of Ableton that it's sounding very good nowadays. I mean, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, it was making sense. Maybe using Pro Tools for a final mix.
Yeah, I had the same experience. I came from Logic and I work with Ableton since version 1, basically. And in the beginning, I really saw it as some kind of super flexible sampler. It's like re-recording things and having the things moving around on the grid and stuff. You can manipulate time, and that was completely revolutionary.
Yeah.
But with that first version, I still sometimes took it into Logic to mix it, or to, I would mix it on externally on a hardware mixer.
Use Ableton,
Now,
Jochen?
but now, I use Ableton, but now in especially in 10, the EQs are for they don't really have a lot of character, but they're very, very good in just zooming into sounds and reducing things, or finding problematic frequencies. Like I do a lot of collaborations where I have to send the entire Ableton arrangement to somebody else, so I do everything with the native Ableton plugins. So anybody basically who has the same Ableton
To
can
be
open.
honest, I never used them.
No any
Okay.
third part.
I really love the Fab
No
filter.
any third part plugins. What is what you mean? You
Well,
mean?
if when I'm doing collaboration with somebody who's also in Ableton, I will stick to just the Ableton plugins. Yes.
Yeah,
And,
that's good.
to
To maximize compatibility.
Yeah, exactly, for compatibility. And then, of course, further on in the process, I might use other stuff.
Okay.
Or just get bounced to audio if it's something exotic that nobody has. But anyway, no. But I find it it is a little bit more time consuming than doing something the hardware way. You have actually physical access, and you can touch things and move things around. But not everybody has the luxury to work that way. But for exchanging projects and exchanging things when you're in a collaboration, it's it's easily 99% of the way I want to get it. And the more time you spend on it, the more you get familiar with what it can do and what it cannot do.
But when you work on your only solo project, do you mix out of the box?
When every thing that we do here in the studio is pretty much all we use Ableton for is at that stage is as a tape deck, like a multi-track.
Okay.
So basically the setups here are all hardware, and for every project I make a new setup, and then it's just everything gets sent through its own channel in Ableton, and it's just recording the audio for hours and hours.
Yeah.
So when you do, for example, I saw your last release on a Stoor. It's a callable hardwares and modulars. You just record in one channel, or you send it to different channels? How you do it?
It's all multi-tracked. So basically,
multi-track, okay.
Yeah. So basically, I like to make chains of sound.
Okay, good, interesting.
So for example, I split out a drum machine or a sampler, or some modules on the in the Eurorack or whatever synth. Just send everything to different channels, but before it goes into the sound card, there is already effects, or like a space echo or some pedal inserted, or just as part of the chain, so that the sound is already recorded with effects. I also have a way to split the sound, so I can record a dry signal as well as the affected signal. But for me, it's about the moment. I want to capture a moment, and you all know the feeling when you are in the studio and you have
Yeah, but in
something
the end,
running.
if you realize effects like a part of the sound, then you can easily record it together with the dry sound, because
Sure.
even synthesizers have inside effects, so it
Yeah.
can be like
Yeah,
all the same.
I just like the whole process of committing to something, early on. So because if the longer you postpone your decision,
Yeah,
the more time you're going to spend on it.
and
You
you
keep
will never feel
yeah,
satisfied.
yeah, you keep changing your mind on things. But I like to when I like a sound and when I like something, it's I capture it as it is, and
Yeah, yeah.
if it's shit, I ditch it. If it's great, I keep it. But I just this whole sort of working inside the box. Postponing your end decision is not for me, because the more time you spend on something and keep sort of re-listening to it, it slowly changes into something else, and then all of a sudden you reach a point where the original idea is just gone. You programmed all the life out of it. So for me, it's like I like to capture the moments. I mean, you're all studio people, so there are moments in the studio when you get this feeling. You're the edge of yeah, this is great. You have this feeling of the moment, and that's the moment I want to capture. So in like a 3-hour session, there are always maybe 3 or 4 of these moments where you thought, wow, this is amazing, and that's already recorded then. So it's like it only needs to be fixed, like problematic frequencies, and having balance the stuff out, and maybe even leave some entire parts of the recording out, or enhance the stuff that's going on. I'm lazy, so my strategic way to get something done is to stumble upon it, to find it when it happens, instead of just try to think of it in advance, and just give yourself an impossible task, because if you yay I mean it's just a quick way of getting things started, and even if there's nothing that ends up on a release in those 3 hours. We had 3 amazing hours jamming, and experienced some great moments when you thought, this is great, and I'm having a good feeling, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think and for that, so of course Ableton is just recording tracks. It's like multi-tracks. Usually I can go up to 32 analog sources, and since a while I have this Digiface, the RME Digiface, which adds 16 channels, or no, 32 channels of ADAT. So if somebody shows up with a laptop,
Have you think about getting a UAD?
I've got I don't have the UAD sound card, but I have the processing box,
Yeah, the
plugins.
digital analog converter.
No, I don't have I use the Lynx ADDA, Lynx Auroras.
Okay.
I have 2 of them. But anyway, so I have this ADAT interface now too. So if somebody shows up with a laptop and they want to split out the whatever soft synths or digital sources they want to use in the jam, I can also record them separately, straight from their ADAT out into my Ableton. So I basically that's the same.
When you have so many machines, you need, of course, to have the most input real time separate.
But even if a laptop or a digital source is part of the hardware setup, it is still recorded as audio. You know what I mean? So it's the same system of or the same process of okay, whatever is happening, if it's amazing, it's already as audio. It's committed. It's done. It's recorded, and I just find that the most productive way to do things. And I saw you do this, Gaetano. Oh, wait a minute. We have a question from PA Tuseth. I know this guy is from the Discord server. Question for everyone: is there a big difference in mixing and mastering in different DAWs, or is it just subjective? I don't know. Who wants to?
I mean, I've always seen people mastering and mixing in Pro Tools, to be honest.
True. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know if I mean, you can
depends,
still
I
do it
think.
with Ableton, but I think it's not the best one, because I think Pro Tools is the most like more clear.
Yeah, but I think it depends what you really want, because some artists, for example, some friends of mine, also me, it depends how you use your DAW. If you mix with the external, hardware stuffs, and you record again in Ableton, I think you can get a very high quality sound. But it also depends what you want, because it's
And
on
what
Pro
you're
Tools.
familiar with. I mean, if you are fluid in Ableton or in Logic,
Yeah.
it's not really necessary to, I think,
Sure,
to learn an entire other DAW to just to master or mix.
sure. But I think Pro
Yeah,
Tools, sometimes sound too clear. So if you want some like a little,
yeah.
you
I
know,
think that for club music
house,
or
yes,
electronic stuff, Ableton is perfect.
Yeah,
no, but it's even house music. Pro Tools is perfect. House music is like more instrumental, vocal. I think Pro Tools is the best for or even vocals. Like strings and like drums and piano. But it depends how you want it.
Well, I think the answer of the question is definitely no, because the question the question was there is a big difference, and
Okay. Yes.
I, my
Yeah.
experience it's already no. But then
Okay.
I get through, study and try to understand, because I was as well really, I was curious about this. This is like what you live every day, so you want to know if I use Ableton personally, and I used to work with Logic. Then I go through internet and Google Magic. Actually, if you Google it, and there are some experiment that he did. Actually, what they did is like recording uh, rendering inside the box. The first one was Logic, and then it was Pro Tools, and then it was Ableton, and they just not let them rendering just a file, an audio file, with some processing behind. So they put some third-part plugins. That means that probably the critics part of software is when the CPU has to read the software inside the and have to process some things, and the critics comes when the software have to work with third part plugins. So they did experiment. Actually, they put some plugins on the audio files, and they took the rendered files, and they put in there, and then if they put the two audio files, and one was put on antiphase. I don't know what to say.
yeah,
So
yeah. So you can hear the difference between them, basically.
and they actually
We're identical.
they cancel it themselves,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
per part plugins.
right.
So this probably at this point, it's the question is no big difference, and it's also like proof that if you Ableton, this was like ages, this question about if it's good enough to do the audio quality and stuff like that. I think that in life, I always say this sentence is not what but how you use it.
Yeah,
So live, because live makes so many process in through when they recorded the edit, the warp of the files, and much more than any other softwares. And more you put the software works hard, more it's downgrade about the quality. So the CPU is going down. That's why I come to the conclusion that if you work with Ableton just using, the of course the magic comes from edit samples and stuff like that. It's really fluid. But you can keep working with it with Ableton as multi-tracks, and I avoid the problem because my groups in Ableton they don't go through the master directly. They go outside the sound cards,
I sum them in analog.
exactly, and then they
Yeah.
go on the semi mix.
Mm-mm.
So the sound mix got an insert where I can put compressors, stuff like that, or preamps or whatever I want. And then from the master, the sound mix go back to the sound cards. The magic of the sound card that I have is metric allo.
Yeah.
We got the DSP. So and he got his own software where with the recording inside, with the recorder. So I recorded not in Ableton, but I recorded in this software. And if you try to let your computer work with the Ableton and do all those processes, warp, editing, stuff like that, and then you wanna render it all in the box, of course you can have a downgrade at the end. But if you use Ableton, like I'm trying to use, that I use, like that, it just simply multi-tracks. You edit in there. You avoid the problem about the downgrade, digital downgrade. You go through the digital, and then you record it on the another software. They got his own DSP, so it doesn't, the computer is not struggling to do all this process. I'm quite happy for what I achieved so far. So
Joachim, do you ever record on tapes?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, nice. Which
sometimes.
yeah.
Sometimes
I
just
started to do it sometime. I want to hear, your experience, because I believe in the past was more usual, right? And it's get more dirty, right? It depends on which kind of track, or I don't know. Let me, I would love
well,
to
yeah.
hear
I mean, the whole. I mean, it's
your first record on the Dove, and straight to the tape. How it's the process? I mean, what is
depends.
your okay.
I mean, there are some things that that we've released on Stoor that were actually recorded straight from the analog mixing desk onto tape, just to
Wow.
as just to feel, just to really have the sort of snapshot moment kind of feeling, like you have to do it. You have to do. I mean, especially if there's like lots of things you are doing live on the mixer, like auxiliaries and EQing and maybe even leveling and stuff. Yeah, you can. Then the mixing process becomes like a performance. It becomes part of a part of the track. Your take is either the one you go with, or it's the next one. So you choose in the end which take you
Which
choose.
kind of tapes you recommend? Because I started from a little while.
I've got like, I don't know if you can see them. There's a 2 Revox tape machines. Yeah, they're just hi-fi. It's not like it's not like a proper mastering tape deck, but it's for some things it's perfect. They sound very good, but it's there would be upgrades possible, if you know what I mean, if you're really serious about it. But I use it more as an effect, and as a process thing. So it's so the act of mixing to tape is just fun. It's like
fun.
you start you start your track, and then you mix it live, and then at the end you made a snapshot, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then you can change by changing the level, how hot you run into the tape makes a difference in sound. You can do that by the way while you are setting up the levels, because you can listen to the playhead while the recording head is already recording the signal, so you can kind of get your levels right, when you sort of test it.
Yes.
But once you got to get it there, then you basically commit to this one snapshot thing, which is fun. That's a fun thing. But the other way you can use it is just to beef up one bus, in your mix. So if, for example, if you want to have the bass to have more, or the percussion or whatever sort of thing you separate out that you want to glue a little bit more together, you can just run the bus through to the tape and back into the sequencer or back into Ableton,
so nice
and just record.
Here. So using tapes anytime for only a sound or groups, or
that's
most of the whole track?
Yeah, this question from Matthias. What's up, Matthias? Yeah, so I'm explaining that right now. So sometimes it's the master recording, like the snapshot thing. Yeah, or you can send a bus to beef up like a section of your track, you know, like
Like an FX on some just one sound, like an
yeah,
effect.
yeah. I mean, it's, you know, some
Okay.
you know, like if you use like some kind of, I don't know, a
And you can use
source
it
which is
as a
very,
delay as well.
yeah, exactly. I was going to get through that, but you know, you can, if some sources which are digital, like a plug-in drum machine or something, can sound sometimes a little
Yeah,
bit brittle and a bit sort of too dry and too you know, too many nasty transients and stuff like that, you know.
Mm.
So sometimes it can work if you just send those sounds to a
yeah, yeah,
tape
yeah,
and
of
then just
course.
you know, have
Yeah,
a really hot level so it's sort of
this is
all
what I
glue.
do. This is what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
But it's a never-ending story there. Some different tapes and things. That's why I asked.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
All they all have their own flavor, man. They all have their own flavor.
It's
it's
like
I also
everything.
a lot
I
of
also have
flavors.
these. I have a bunch of these old Tascam cassette tape decks. You know, like the 4-channel multi-track recorders, and they sound, you know, to our standards, you know, like they sound terrible, but they can be very nice as an effect.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
if you yeah, they work on.
The Gaetano, you know about that. Yeah. He has
Yeah,
a
just record one bus through that, you know, can work wonders to glue your mix together. It's
Absolutely.
but it's like everything, you know. It's just a matter of trying out and see what happens. There's no science to it. It's just yeah, let's
No,
see what happens if I run this through the cassette deck, you know, whatever. See what
I,
happens.
I think it's really important also to, when you find your own setup, to you know, not stock, but you know, follow that, because I think it's really important for any producer is to be recognizable, you know, in a certain way in the sound, or to pretend at least to, you know, having a kind of signature on what you're doing from your sound. And this is comes from of course your talent, what you have in your mind, but also from your studio setup. This is like, you know, like it's part of all the process. And because we uh, today we have so many options, too
Mm.
many
But
options, way
I
too
think it's
many
good
options.
also
We always
to
try
evolve.
to find and another plugins, another stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
another
yeah.
and from what my experience, actually, when 20 years ago, I was trying to find my own setup. Sometimes I use just a preset of machine, and I was keeping doing using that just one preset of one machine, and that or just that preset worded for all, you know, the for the whole machine. They just give you that signature in your sound. That it's I think it's part of the, you know, what you want to achieve, at least. But of course, then the challenging part is that you want to achieve something different and want to try different stuff. But um I think we have so many options, and most of the time we don't go through in deep through the closest things that we have, you know, and try
Yes.
to find always something different. Something different. It's normal to be curious, but it's I think it's really important to achieve your own sound in your studio, like when you
I loved what you say, Joachim. Before we start the live, you showed me the studio and they say it's like a museum, but it's not a museum. I use everything. This is interesting, you know, because this is, you know, it's as you say, Gaetano. It's good to have your own, you know, setup, but it's also like you say, it's an infinity of options, and this is what I'm you know, I'm discovering since a little while, like to to know about more and more, and you know, it's get
There's
more you
only
get.
one way to find out, and that's just to try it, you know.
Yeah, but you have to find out and be interested about that, not like, okay, I have to do that because somebody else does. If you
Mhm.
don't want to,
but then you
you will never really, you know, use it as it has to be.
absolutely.
By the way, I'm gonna say hi to the pattern guys. They just showed up in the comments.
Uh,
Our Belgian friends.
Right.
Andrea, how you you used you know tapes as well, or like, because I, you know, I don't
Takes
know.
not so much. I mean, I was releasing on my label some guys that were
Which
like,
is your label? Which is the
the
label name?
outer.
Okay, I
Outer.
see. Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the Analog Cops, like these guys, they were doing everything on tape, and it is like in the end like this kind of attitude, like Joachim was saying, like recording everything one chance, that's it. So since I don't like it, because sometimes I like to work so many times on a track, I listen it and I say, okay, this moment the sound is not like me, or maybe I want to change in the edit, and I like to keep the process open as much as I can, not too much, otherwise you end up not finishing never the track. But
What do you so how do you restrict yourself if you want to keep it open as much as possible, but at the same time you want to get to an end result, right? So what's your strategy? How
it's always so hard to decide, because
okay.
I mean,
You don't have any special tactics to like
no, I
rules for
think that,
yourself?
I mean, I came to a point after so many years spending time on producing music that if a track is not like, I would say, grabbing my attention after like few couple months, then I think that it's everything I can get out of it. And so yeah, I think that is I try to rely on my sensitivity. So I have to decide at some point, okay, I like this sound. This sound is going to be like this, end of the story. But if I listen the track like 10, 15 times and this sound is always like, you are not sure, or you work on the EQing and then you cut it and then you try to use it in another way. Otherwise, after a few try, if it doesn't work, doesn't work. And then like very big part of my production process is going less is more, like this philosophy where I put a lot of stuff. I mean, not a lot, but maybe in techno I have 16 channels, which are already too much stuff, and then I say, okay.
I used to do this mistake. No mistake. It's I'm out. How to say? I've learned everything by myself, so I didn't really know about that less is more in a DAW, and it's true. I was like doing tracks at the beginning with like 25 channels. I was like, what? And, still, they were sounding good, but now, for example, as more forward I go and less sounds I put this, and how to make sound them better and better, they sound incredible. This is it's true. Less is more, 100%. But as me, I come from a very humble way. I didn't have any.
Yeah, but Gaetano was doing music in '97 that was like 6 sounds for 8 minutes, and it sounded great. So
but it was more analog, totally analog. I started
like
with
a good Italian dish, as long as the ingredients are right, you only need 2 ingredients.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you guys, you started with another era. I started with proper. I told you, like with the hi-fi speakers and little computer. It's. I started with the proper digital era, but it was slowly was a process, but now I got there.
It takes time. I think that also the younger generation nowadays are more lucky than us, because there are so many courses online and in real life that you can attend to learn these mixing techniques, that I mean I had to grab it like when I was attending mixing session or learning by experience.
I don't know, man. I by the way, I see Tadeo showing up again. I'll keep the question in mind, but I want to hook onto what you were saying.
Hola, Tadeo.
I don't know. To be honest, I truly don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that now YouTube is fucking flooded with zillions of tutorials and I mean, you can spend your life on, watching every example of somebody else finding things out, but it's more fun and way more educative, or yeah, more interesting. And
Yeah, I think
you
it's
find
like
it out yourself,
related.
It's
It's
just,
related with the society that is so fast. I mean, I was spending so many hours every day from 20 to 27, like every night, and what is doing this and what is doing that, and now it's
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the way to go, right? I mean, that is the way you find out, and you learn what things do, and sometimes you use them completely in the wrong way, or the way you think they should be used, and you get something amazing out of it.
yeah,
If you start by learning everything, and finding out from other people how it's supposed to be used, then you never really get to the point where you get the spirit of, what the fuck is this? How am I
you
going
are
to
more
use?
a technician than an artist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I also the whole discovery element, I think, is a very
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
important thing. I mean, half of the time, I mean, I still don't have a clue what I'm doing sometimes. Like get a piece of gear and just see. Yeah, there we go. But I mean, I have a clue in a sense that I know what I'm hearing, and I know when I like it, what I'm hearing. But I don't necessarily always have to understand the entire process behind it. You know what I mean? In a certain piece of gear, if yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have enough experience to kind of know what's going on, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I know every function of every module of every synth and every piece of gear that's around here. There's always something that I haven't tried or don't know exactly what it should do. And those are the funniest moments, because you
That's the beauty. That's really the beauty
do
of the
something
thing.
and you're like, what the fuck? This is amazing. Those
Exactly.
are the,
Yeah.
those are the moments.
Get addicted of that moment, actually. Like having too many rules, even in life, is like you start to be slave of those rules. Actually, that's it. So even if I have been thinking about to learn piano and things like that so many times, then I said, maybe you know what? No, because
Mm.
even a dissonance, like even something that you it happened just because you don't have any knowledge about any well you learn by yourself through experience, but you're not like you don't know notes, or I don't know, like technical things, and you find out that with for some reason, some magic reason, you the what you achieve is something that it's unique because you didn't expect it, and you stuck in there, and you said, this is it, this is really what sometimes it's really good that you are inspired by your machines, your flow, what it happen around you, instead of something in your mind and try to struggling to find to achieve what you have in your mind.
Yeah.
So the way
Yeah.
I think it's like even of course when you're DJs that don't know, or any like any performers, when they are in that kind of state, the state of flow, that they things happen like for some magic, and same thing in studio. So that's why when I would like to have always a setup that every time that I go in the studio, I don't really struggling for half an hour, 1 hour to find, the my feeling and my creativity can can be satisfied through all the process, instead to try to find that idea that you have in that mind. So it's a process, and you have to be inspired what you have
I think
around.
that you have to be in the middle, in between about this process, because otherwise you produce like only with
Brainstorm, brainstorm.
casuality. And I think that also this connects very well to with Tadeo's question, because
Yeah.
at some point you have to also pay attention to some rules, like for example the phase on the on the bass. So
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so that's all part of it. But that's, I think, something you do like a little further on in the process. It's the
Exactly.
moment
Yeah.
the moment of creation, the moment when things
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the
totally.
spring get life. See happen for the first time. It's more about creating creating circumstances in which these things can happen. And so um
I
at
think
at
this is
that
something I
stage.
experienced very, very, very well with modular, because there are so
Yeah.
many weird stuff that you can do with them, and of course it's learning, continuous learning stuff. When you
Mm.
plug this, let's see what this is doing with that, and wow. So
You
yeah,
make unique sounds. It's proper art. It's like a proper Picasso paint.
yeah,
I think one a really good tip is like keep recording everything that you're doing in the studio, no
yeah,
matter
that's a
what.
good idea.
That's why my sound cards with this software, separate software, I have his own recorded. So if you press record, you keep recording whatever it comes, even multi tracks, and because some moment will not, you are there, even if it's slightly moved from oscillator and stuff, or it's already it's already gone. It's part of the past. So
Yeah.
it's no way to achieve,
Yeah,
again.
it's like Joachim is doing, like recording for 6
Yeah.
hours,
Well, the thing is,
jamming stuff.
so the funny thing is, I've had so many moments where, I mean, there's two sides of it, of course, but let me mention the first one first. Sometimes you do really interesting things when you have no idea what you're doing. So if you're just, no, seriously, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
if you make a habit of just recording everything, like Gaetano is saying, you might just be looking for a sound, and you do some things, and you play something, on the keyboard, or you're skipping through sounds, or you do whatever, just looking for something, basically not even intentionally making something,
yeah,
but if you're just noodling around, basically, at the moment when you are doing that, it seems like nothing. You're not doing really anything because it's not really going anywhere. But sometimes when you listen back to it, it's like, hey, you discover your something great in your own search, in your own noodling,
yeah,
and the other thing is that if you record something, and you feel at the moment you're recording it, if you take this live approach, you're not really sure, you kind of, you cannot really get the tension right, or the build-ups, or the changes, or whatever, and you can just continue recording and see the first take as a rehearsal, and just basically go back to the where you want the track to start, and do another pass, and maybe a third one or a fourth one or whatever. And often you will see that, or this something I notice anyway, that when you listen back to it, and you feel like you've rehearsed it a couple of times, you should think that it's sort of the idea sort of matures and increases further down the line. But if I've often also discovered that the first take, even though it wasn't perfect, was still the one with the most
yeah.
was the most sort of
Attitude.
original moment, the sort
Yeah.
of initial idea is shining through a lot better in that sort of imperfect take. So recording everything might actually be is a
No.
good tip.
Absolutely right. I told you since the beginning. This is a fucking challenge with your ego. It's not easy. It is like no way to turn around. But because you always thinking, okay, I'm gonna do better than this. Could be better than this. Could be
Yeah.
better than this. And then after you only you will realize that only getting back to what you recorded, that
Mhm.
fuck, that in the beginning was much better than what I'm pretending to do right now, and the feeling was already gone.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you say that you're working on totally in different tracks from the beginning.
Yeah, well, I think when something happens for the first time, it has a certain authenticity to it, and when you try to repeat something that is authentic, you already have you know, a second generation of it, you know. And sometimes the real authenticity shines through in your first attempt to do something, rather than the more sort of matured, marinated version down the line, you know. So yeah, I you know what I mean. Hey,
Yeah,
but Gaetano, you at the beginning of the conversation, when we just started this chat, you said something about your workflow or your setup or whatever, and that you
yeah.
wanted to talk about later. Have we already covered
No,
this? Because I'm
I was,
curious about what it is.
no. It's quite simple because I I get through my setup is an hybrid one right now. I used to work with a mixer, decks, 32 channels, and stuff like that. And but I working in my studio. I was always I have this feeling that I was missing something, and that something is like to put two hands at the same times on two channels, two different EQs. Because what I'm doing, what we are doing, is like loop based. It's more about put frequencies together, glue them, and I'm really missing the feeling to have EQ to things at the same times to achieve that. Actually, I didn't have any. I try to find an option right now in the digital world to achieve that feeling, but I still didn't have, I still didn't find it. So, and it for me it was so important because okay, I can build the loop like groups, um, fortunately quite easily. But what makes the difference is like mixing that few channels together, and it's something that if you do in real time, it's totally different. And in digital environment, it's quite for me it's quite impossible to achieve. And you can EQ one things at the time, and then you go again back to the bass and back go, and in the mixer you have everything in front of you.
Mhm.
And it was so super easy to achieve what frequencies and what I really was looking for. And right now I'm struggling with that. So I was thinking to again change the setup of the studio for this need that I have. This is something I really miss a lot. But at the same time, I have so many benefit to work in this kind of environment. Of course, to recall the setups is one thing. Even if I think this is things that you can go back endless time to your track. We think it's a benefit, but sometimes I'm starting to think that it's not.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, because it's um I used to work that long time ago that I switch on my equipment, I go in the studio, and because I'm kind of really really lazy, so I don't know, I didn't know how to save you know samples and stuff like that. I have to finish a track in a day. So when after 12 hours I was still in the studio and my parents were screaming upstairs, I have to record it in the track, and that let me force I forced myself to record something in that day, you know and it this is you say this is something that is a limited things, but I don't think it's really limited. I think that's when at the end I finish a track, and it happened so many times that I'm working in the track, and I don't record in during that day, and probably the day after I switch on the machines, and because I addicted, I think like 99% of the producer to that creative part. to create something more than writing things and doing things, like kind of boring things for a producer. You want to start with a new project, the new things that they give you that adrenaline. And probably right now I don't finish the 90% of the tracks that I start, even I think they are really, really good ones. So, and even if I go back in the track that I started the day before, the feeling is not the same. If I go back in the track after 1 week, the feeling is definitely not the same. And probably, as Jochen was saying before, like earlier, that some things is it's happening at the moment. You have to, get be there in that moment and finish the track. The old feeling that you have in that particular moment, I think.
It's very inspiring this, because I have the same of Gaetano, because it depends how you create a track. If you work on just a project on the Dove, or like Joachim, this is what I have. I have to thank you, Joachim, for this talk, because today you open a door in my mind. And yeah, really, seriously, I love the way you do it. You told us before about record for hours and hours and hours, and on different channels, and you create some magic in some parts of that session, and then you go back there. I do the opposite. This is, I'm like.
But Joseph, it's like this feeling from DJing, right? When everything
it's mixing, you're like, wow, this is
when
like
everything
crazy.
starts to flow and starts to click, and you create a moment that you have never.
You get chills, like, wow, what is this?
It's never been there before. It's not repeatable after.
Yes.
Because if you try the same mix in a different club, different setting, it's absolutely useless.
And if you have the recording of that set in the car, it's not the same. In the club was like,
exactly. Yeah. So it's about creating that a chance that will happen when you record tracks as well in the studio or music.
It's like a photo. You cannot you can edit it, but you have to impress the moment.
Exactly.
I love this. It's a different way of what I do. It's I work more about, okay, today I start something, but what I love of what Joachim said is about it's recording an experience in different ways with different machines, and then you get that moment you loved of that session. I never did this before. I'm gonna do it. I promise. Give me some months. I'm gonna just organize.
Don't get me wrong. The stuff that I record that way is definitely getting a lot of attention after the recording in the box, or in the mixing stage, or
I know. I understand.
But still, you at least capture something, that was like Gaetano used the word adrenaline, the adrenaline moment that is already there then, and you can touch it up and you can enhance it even afterwards in the mixing stage, but at least you have the basis and the feeling of the track already captured, that's the idea.
Exactly.
So Gaetano, you used some I remember some Max for Live, things that make crazy,
I take advantage of this Ableton got so many cool things with Max for Live as well. The one you were talking about is
it's the one you get put the groove, the 909 inside. I did
actually,
abstract.
I know I was watching the 909 and I said, "What a beautiful machine! Wow!" It's like this is something unique. But what is really, you cannot achieve anyhow with samplers and stuff like that. That slightly unpredictable fall on timing or quantization of chops between hi-hat and stuff like that. So what is really luck about the 909 is probably the sequencer, because it was made on the 80s, something like that. And that's why it comes out the Max for Live sequencers and stuff like that, because
So many great sequencers there.
I use sequencers that they let work the 909 in the way that it could never be worked years before. You know, like sequencer that can give you different polyrhythmic things inside, or shuffles and
Yes.
equates, because this 909 is these unique things that they chop the sounds himself. They comes out with unpredictable, really grooves and stuff, and it's really, and for me it's a brand new 909. I start to work in it because
What sequencer is that?
It's timeless.
sorry.
Which you said it's a Max for Live sequencer. Which one?
Yeah,
Which one?
I got the different. Let me remember the one of the one that they use.
Maybe I have here.
Hold on, hold on a second.
Check it.
It's here. Yeah.
Just looking at the computer.
First.
Polypin. You gave me Gaetano. Polypin. Then there is
Yeah, for example, one
sequence.
that I'm using
Sequencer
right
16 X6.
now, it's Polypin for that. That's
Polypin. Yes.
Polypin is for the drum machine. It's like you have three different way to triggering your MIDI notes, and it's one is it's a
one
classic.
from Eric Schwartz, which is very nice. Schwarzonator too, which is
No,
Yeah, this is very famous.
No, but but it's for different things. Like
This is for chords.
I just got the one you gave me. You gave me Gaetano. Say, want to show you this? But yes, a nice.
No, because at that point you can use
Polypin is nice, really nice.
This is just for
There is
the
also a very nice Max for Live sequencer that is like pretty new. Is an Euclidean sequencer.
exact. There are so many tricks in Max for Live and on MIDI routing. About what I really love about Ableton is the MIDI routing that you have inside Ableton, because I work mostly with the MIDI than with audio. And so, for example, what Joseph was mentioning before was that there is this 616. There is actually an emulator of the old Doppler sequencer.
The 16X2, is the.
And so, what happened if you put, for example, it's like a trick to get almost immediately in the groove. So let's just put, for example, you have a sequencer there that is sequencing a synth, and at the same time you open another MIDI track where you have a tom that is pitched on C, and you use a note, echo note, not echo. There is a plugin for making, and you can pitch it down for 1 octave down. And you can have exactly the same sequence that is always on scale, on pitch scale. I mean, I don't like scales because I never use not really. It's like, but it's always it give you the feedback from the tone that is on the third note, on the fifth note, on the sixth note, and this is like creating this groove between what
it's like a bass. I remember, you put a tom, but it's like a funky.
You can never be wrong. This is like something that sometimes I used to get immediately in the groove to do something.
Napolitan touch. the Napoli groove.
When I found something, I cut it. I use just a part of the MIDI that I love, and this is the way to achieve a bass, or you can achieve a bass just using the you compress, you just want the part that it really works with all the sounds that are played from the sequencer and use it as a baseline. This is another
Mm.
approach. So I really love to be immediately in the groove. Like I don't like to really struggling going through. That's why probably uh, I'm sorry, like I never. I was always afraid to buy a modular machine, like because this is something that um, I it's an assumption because I never get into it. But when you get into it, like before you find, if you always have to patch everything and find the sounds that they really match for what you're doing, it can take half an hour, 40 minutes to get there. I know it's part of the process. There are people that are enjoying more to create their own sound there, but I'm more like
Yeah, you like to have instant things. So I guess your approach is to use sequencers in Ableton or the Max for Live sequencers too, because they kind of instantly generate stuff that you can start with. Like
ideas
you
and
can have
stuff.
a starting point. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. That could also work with with modular. To be honest, because
Absolutely.
so some I mean, using modulars doesn't mean that every time you are behind it that you start a new patch. You can live with a patch for days or weeks and refine it, and so every time you turn it on, something new happens, or you can find another a
Oh,
part of the range that it's capable of doing. So it can just as well be something that generates instant starting points as sequencers.
You
let's
know,
On the
put
other
it
hand,
Joachim,
I was gonna
how
hook.
do how do you feel when you disconnect the patch that you create and it was there in the studio for a week and you're like,
Well, I do that when I get tired of when I think I want to do something new, or when I think I have
okay.
exhausted the possibilities for that patch. Then
Hmm.
then I make a new setup. But basically, the whole studio here is modular. There is nothing connected. Nothing is fixed. So even for basically for every project, I build a new setup. So sometimes I put like I start with just a drum machine, or I start with a combination of a synth and a couple of pedals or something, and then from there it grows and grows and grows. But the cool thing is that you just designed the system, so you have everything in your head. You know how it works because you just added, you just
which
built
is
it.
the advice for Joachim? Which is your advice for somebody who want to start modular? From
Uh,
like
by no more
I
than
feel I love it's something is calling me a lot. To be
well,
honest, I'm like Gaetano. I never use modular, but it's really
it's the
calling me
advice
a lot.
that I would give to people who start making music on a computer as well. Just use, if you want to get into modular, just buy 3 modules. And
And you
start.
get the best of what you can from that, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah, you
okay.
just and just make it work, because even if you'll find out that some things aren't possible with just 3 modules, but a lot of stuff is possible, and you'll only find out what is possible when you try everything. And that's true for working on a computer as well. Just don't get like a zillion plugins. Just get one good soft synth and a good sequencer, and just try to find every possible corner or thing
Right.
that it can do until you move on to the next one, because that's probably the most killing thing for doing something creative. If you have too much choice and no
Mhm.
knowledge about how it works, then you end up
Exactly.
skipping presets and just
I'm scared of that. That's it. I'm
It's the
scared.
yeah.
mistake I did with when I well, it's a mistake, but it's a lesson. When I built up my studio in Barcelona, and I just bought a lot of machines and scenes that I was looking for, but
Mm.
I bought them in the same time, and then I was like, okay, well, you're in the studio with all the stuffs, and then I've learned this lesson, like never buy get whatever too much things, like just one piece
At the time, yeah.
and you learn a lot from, because there's so much to do. But when you have too much things that are new for you, but they're calling you, and you go there and it's like, okay, where I should to start today? It's different if you buy the studio like you, Joachim. I think you collect many gears and machines during the years, but you studied every machines that you get. I think it's like you got the best of each machine. It's important to know. I did a mistake, but still I have a lot of things there which naturally and step by step I'm discovering. But it's an advice I give to, if I have to give an advice to the people who are listening, even people that are just starting hardware or something, like, don't do this mistake. Don't buy too
and
many.
you have to also realize that if you let's say you start out with 3 pieces of gear, right? Once you buy the 4th one, you enhance the possibilities of the first 3 as well. Because, for example, you buy or you get it's like something that I wanted to reply to Gaetano. Like, if you use now these Max for Life sequencers in Ableton, and you use them on your old rack mount synths that are behind you, they totally breathe new life into these machines, because they've never been, you know what I mean? They've never been controlled by a modern sequencer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they've never been, triggered or controlled by an amazingly complex modern sequencer. Maybe they have only been used with like 16-step, classic sequencers, and you basically thought, okay, now I've kind of exhausted this machine, but then you connect it to some really wild, generative thing, and it's completely new. What you get out of these machines that you're flying around. So if you
completely.
Yeah. Right, so what I'm saying is,
I agree.
So what I'm saying is, if you get if you start small with a small setup, and you buy a new addition to your setup, it also makes the other things that you already know sound different, because you can run them through it, or you can whatever function your new piece of gear has. It is an addition to the vocabulary or the range of the sonic possibilities of your old gear as well.
Right. That's totally true. Totally true. I think also some of the most legendary records around have been made with like just 2-3 machines. You know what I mean, Joachim?
Not even 3. Sometimes 2. Or 1 even. Yeah, there's some tracks that. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not what, but how. Like always.
Yes, guys. It's true. I'm studying a lot. I'm learning every day, and it's very inspiring, this talk. Thank you. We are talking in live streaming, but it's like, as you say, Joachim, it's a friend talk, and thank you for this. Very inspiring. I'm thinking a lot. My mind is like, I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
I'm quite curious about the pedal, because you mentioned it like more than once through your talks. It means that it's part of your setup. You really care about it.
What pedal?
Pedal. The effects that you have.
You're talking about the filter that I'm.
Yeah.
It's well, there's 2 of them here in the lab. It's basically a
filter, or like a saturator or delay or whatever. Use pedal. Is it correct or not?
Well, I'm not sure which one you mean, but yes, I mean there are a bunch of pedals around here, and it is just the way I like to record, that pedals are very handy. You could chain them up. You can make a long chains.
Which kind of pedals you mean?
Yeah, all kinds of guitar pedals, and
okay.
and things like the Eventide things, some things, the auto pedals and stuff.
Something very interesting.
But it's just cool. It is basically just the same as as one would work with a modular system. You just hook everything up together and see what happens, and it is just a nice way to enhance
Where
to make
are
more
they
complex sounds.
straight away after the scenes? How do you use it? With now, and what part of the chains do you use your pedal?
Depends, wherever they sound good, and sometimes I use DJ mixers in my setup too, because
Oh,
they are easy to manipulate. They're limited, but they have auxiliaries, and they have smart way of routing things, but they're small enough to fit in the setup. And yeah,
I
you
saw
can.
your live with Planetary Assault System. You were also using a DJ mixer for the setup
Yeah,
for some things. It's which quite
yeah,
interesting because you can. It's as you say, it's limited, but
it
you
is an
can.
instrument which it's an instrument that has a very limited range of possibilities, but they are all useful. I mean, it's
And
basically
you mean to
it's
make a
EQ.
record? You can use it as well.
Yeah,
You
why not?
can. No, wow, nice.
I mean,
Nice.
not I would not use it at the end of the chain, but it can be
Lovely,
part of the chain of one sound, or maybe
lovely,
two.
lovely, lovely.
So you run in like maybe I don't know, a synth sound, and then you use the auxiliaries and the EQs live, and the filters and everything,
It's a
just to
channel
shape the
strip.
sound. Yeah, like a channel strip, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it can be part of it because again, it's a very simple device, but you can be very quick on it because you've used it a million times. So hey ho, this is Dennis. Actually, this is the thing we today. Dennis and I released a collaboration that
oh yeah.
we recorded here in the studio.
He's the
He's
man of you
the
made a
testing
post.
equipment. Yeah,
I saw his picture with this big modular behind there. I was like, okay, so
yeah.
You,
maybe
you don't live anymore in the cube. I've been there. You're
Ah,
not.
yeah. I remember. Yeah, actually, you.
I left
That's
you in the
funny.
tube, and I
That's
found your
funny.
tube.
I was walking out. I was going out my door one day, and
what?
totally randomly, Gaetano was walking by my house.
No,
Seriously, yeah.
wow,
I
I
didn't even
didn't
know he
know.
was in the city, and he didn't know I lived there, and was like,
Yeah.
What are you doing here?" That's funny.
Nice.
I'm glad.
Wow, I didn't know this. It's so nice.
Yeah,
Crazy.
guys, we can talk for hours. I mean, I don't need to stop now, but we're nearing 2 hours. So maybe we should just give the people in the comments a last chance to maybe ask
Let's see.
a
Yes.
question. Um,
There were a few interesting ones.
well, maybe you pick one if you want to talk about one of them.
No, like before, Ronnie Solin was asking about like if someone is using iPad for production or this kind of stuff, or even sound field recordings or these things. Was
Do
quite
you want to answer
interesting.
that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the same. I mean, I don't produce on the iPad. I just sometimes try to use some applications because they're like Moog is doing very nice stuff. So I try to use it as an external synthesizer and with a sound card connected, and I record it. And but I really like to do field recordings and to put the stuff into my productions. Like now I'm using the Octatrack, for example, and can be very, very well manipulated the sound. So maybe,
That's another subject you can talk for hours about.
wavetables stuff. Yeah,
I have
Yeah,
seen you,
seriously.
Jochen,
nothing
using it.
from sounds.
No, it's interesting. So you record. Do you have what kind of recorder do you use for that?
I have
For
a Zoom H4.
Oh yeah, okay. So then you just you select the sounds on the computer, and then you put them in the Octatrack. So how do you use them? Do you use them as sounds to layer other sounds with, or do you design sounds with it?
Depends. I mean, the Octarack is very powerful, so sometimes I
Mm.
use it for like wavetable. So I cut a very small portion and then starting
Okay.
from them. But I like to also see what the Octatrack can do, because the sampling process is very, very powerful. And I think I bought it in before the quarantine, so I started to to study it a few months ago, and it's very, very.
It's a good, the quarantine time is probably the best time to buy a device like the Octatrack,
Yeah.
because it's just no use if you just
I mean, I'm only
unbox
using
it.
like for sampling and not for the MIDI sequencing. That is the
Yeah.
other half of the machine, and
Yeah.
it's huge.
No, but it's one of these things that you really have to study to get the most out of it. Yeah, it is. There's just no way you can get it out of the box, and I mean you can get stuff out of it instantly, but it's to really know how powerful it is, you have to actually get the
I
menu.
bought it because I want to perform my live set only with the Octatrack and the analog rhythm, and I was
live
using.
set, Andrea? Live set or
I
DJ
was
set?
doing a hybrid set like computer with Ableton and like of course controllers and drum machines and synthesizers. But now I wanted to. I mean, when it will come the chance to do it, of course, I don't know when. I still have time to learn.
And
Yeah,
Jochen,
yeah.
how
want to
you, when you use the Octatrack, you use Octatrack, right? When you play Jochen, you sync it on the Ableton, and then
No.
no.
No, I don't use
So-
Ableton for live.
Sorry, no Ableton on Tractor. Sorry.
That's really
No,
good.
for some reason I never sync hard for my live sets. I never do that. It's
Okay,
always,
okay,
I just
okay.
start it, and then
Wow.
you can nudge it by hand,
Okay.
because in the past I have some bad experiences with stuff that is synced from
Okay, MIDI.
a computer, and then
Mhm.
when it runs out, you have to restart the whole thing, and
Wow.
by just syncing it
Okay.
by hand, you get a little bit of friction, but that's fine. It's like never. I don't think anybody ever hears that. I'm probably the only one who hears that, but it's there's a little bit of.
mistake is part of the stuff.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't call it a mistake. It's just running out slightly. Maybe
Yeah,
a few milliseconds, but it's fine. People. I don't know. It's just it gives me a more sort of safe feeling to have control over.
Octatrack is another machine that little bit scare me because everyone
Wow.
said it's so powerful, but then it's you have to go really in deep into it to get all the things that this machine can achieve. Because it's a great machine, they told me, but
It's
it's
deep. It's
yeah,
deep. It requires some attention. Don't get it if you don't have the time to really find out what it can do. It deserves your time as well, because it's once you get really deep into it, it's
can do a lot.
incredibly powerful. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
The only thing I really miss on the Octatrack is the separate outputs, but I mean there's a Q out, so you can have 2 stereo pairs or 4 monos going out, but it's still quite limited for the amount of stuff you can get out of it. But it's an incredible piece of
works.
gear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I just saw Shaolin showing up. I think we've already answered that, right?
I mean, for me, I bought the Octatrack, so.
Yeah. What? No, he asked. Yeah, exactly. So you bought the Octatrack recently. Yeah. Anybody got some new gear?
no, I was during Corona. I was focused on the the gears I have had, and as I mentioned before, I needed to learn, and this is the right time. As you say,
Yeah.
You can get the best of your machines if you need to get something else from. But it's a never-ending story, Whatever you have, as you say,
It's a gas. Gear addiction.
It's never timeless. It depends, of course, which machines you have. But the real classics and good gears. There's a never-ending story. You can get, as you say, even pedals. It's very inspiring what you say, because pedals, I use something for my DJ set, but in the pedals you can put a hi-hat and process it in 5 pedals, and you get a synth. It's like you never know what you get from it, or like a tom, and you get like a distortion.
You can even get pedals chained up in such a way that doesn't even need an input anymore. It just sounds. There's just sound.
Feedback.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a new machine as soon as creativity slow down, because it's true, because sometimes I just find new plugins and new machines and take inspiration from something from new stuff that you have in your studio. So that's so no any good stuff new. So it means that my creativity is still working.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a great note to end on. I guess we should all maybe plug our most recent project. Maybe Joseph can start. You were. Do you want to plug anything? Anything coming up
Anything coming up?
that people
It's
should
not.
look out for?
I have a lot of I have my album remixes coming out, which is not my original stuff, but I have a lot of new original things that I still didn't haven't decided. It's like I'm taking time, and what I've learned, I don't want to do like, okay, I produce a record and put it out. Just make a lot of tracks and then you decide. This is the way I was using to do before. Okay, I have to make a record, but then you don't follow your heart. You don't make art. It's like more following what the label wants. Because I was doing like this before. Of course, I wanted was my dream to come out on a label, and you follow what the label wants. But as I started my label, it's called Right Dimension, and I want to make as more art as possible. And it's unlimited, but it's I don't have any real plans. As I told you before, I did the tracks, house tracks, techno tracks, but I don't have something. Okay, but the most important project right now is the album remixes. It's going to be a very special packaging. I'm going to do singles, and I got the first single is Masters at Work remixes. They made 6 versions. Kenny Dope and Louis Vega, they're crazy. It's like getting back 20 years in the music, and they're still so powerful. And then I've got Steve Rachmad. He made 3 remixes.
Nice.
He made one Sterak Electronics as well, which is kind of Italo disco. It's very Steve, of course. And then DJ Anna, she's doing a remix. Then DJ Stingray, and Francois Kevorkian. Francois
Wow.
K. Yeah,
You picked some good people
heroes, and I think it's a good moment right now, even because we are not playing. It's good to make something that people doesn't expect, but still, it's something that can make the difference. And it's important to don't follow too much what is going on normally around the scene. I think this is my heart saying. It's like many people knows me about my kind of style, festivals and club, but I'm an artist, and this is the time where I really want to grow and and express as more possible what I have inside. And also these kind of remixes are like what it's an expression of what I consider quality, respectable, and it's out of the top 10. You know what I mean? It's something like really. Even my album, I didn't make the album to be on the top 10 of digital websites. It's just it's selling a lot in physical. But I did triple vinyl, CD, and cassette tapes. So I did 50 cassette, and it's selling a lot in Asia, like Japan, Hong Kong, and I'm proud. I'm proud of what is going on, and just some people were like didn't understand what I've done because they were expecting some kind of dance floor bombs, as they say today. But it's music, and I really don't want to follow the fast way. I did step backs, and I really want to take the longer way to make music, and because music is my life, is our life, and it depends how you want to express music. I want to express as more art possible, and this period is really helping me a lot. I'm in a great place. I'm in a very comfortable place, and
That's
I'm
good,
happy.
man. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Andrea, you got something coming up? Working on stuff?
Working, yes, of course. I'm constantly working on music with like solo projects and also collaborations. And I mean, as I said, this period I was focusing more on studying these new machines, but I have a lot of also other techno tracks that I'm dealing with the label that I mean they liked it, and so we are trying to understand when, because this pandemic postponed every release, and so I think in 2021 will come out vinyl and techno vinyl, and but this chance that coronavirus gave me to be a bit more detached from the techno scene brought me back to my inspirational more music, when I'm doing like more experimental stuff and things with that are like far from the club scene. So I'm working with a very good producer, a friend of mine, and we're trying to collect an album with special music, like things that can range from the broken beat, fast stuff, or even ambient drone, and an album.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, this is the story that basically comes up every time. People are using the time off, basically. With
Yeah.
the time without the touring, to really sort of reflect and to do the things they've been planning to do all this time, but never had the time to do it. So it's cool. I mean, there must be so much stuff
I will send you the
brewing
stuff when
now
it's
everywhere,
finished.
that is coming out after this period. It's everybody's sort of Corona or COVID album is being made right now.
I will
It's
send
cool,
it to
it's
you
cool.
for a feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you've been doing. Amazing. You, Gaetano, you got anything? Yay! Actually,
Yeah, confirm is back.
The promo show. No,
nice.
no. Actually, it's just arrived here a few days ago. This is like the third volume of Retouch series, and on this number, I'm really pleased to have Ditron, Steve Bicknell, Kenichi, Oscar Mulero, and Alexander Kovatsky on as digital. I'm super happy about the series that I've done so far. Hello, all the numbers.
Yeah.
No,
So where can people get it? How do you, if people want to check that out, where should they find it?
absolutely. Like all the best shop behind the corners of your city. No. It's the first number were already out, of course, the vinyl, and the third number will be out in 1 month, and then the fourth number I will have Radio Slave, Oni Dijon, and Mark Broom, and Shlomi Amber will be out first week of December. So it's been like a tough work being put all these artists together and make like a sense to all the projects, and musically speaking, I'm really happy, and so yeah, I'm really thankful to all those artists that be involved in this project. So yeah,
Great stuff, man.
thank you.
I forgot to mention one of the remixes. Sorry, otherwise you get mad. Matthew Johnson is also doing
Oh,
this, and
Wow.
Oxia. Yeah.
Get
You
it.
know, yeah, too many information. I was thinking about modular. I was like, okay, I have to get the modular. Just,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
you, Joachim, I'm very happy what we spoke at the beginning about the Stoor vinyl. You have your own
I'm
print.
gonna plug that now.
It's great.
Yeah, so
You made
today
me shocked. I'm so happy to see this. Really, seriously.
Yeah, so today we released 2 new vinyls on Stoor, which were made by myself and Monopoly,
Oh, wow.
my friend from Rotterdam, and he uses this testing equipment for sound generation, and we took a full day driving 4 times back and forth between his place to
Wow.
here to move all this stuff, because some of these machines are like 30 kilos, and they have one filter, one sound. Crazy. So the whole
I
room
saw
is
the
full.
knobs are like
Yeah,
this.
I mean, it's a really interesting way of making music, because they are so limited, and in terms of what they can do, but it makes you work really, really hard to get something out of it. But the sonically, it's very special. It sound wise, it's unlike anything traditional. So it was a great trip to work on that stuff, and
It's
we
limited edition, right? You just print
yeah,
few.
we do a maximum 50 copies on vinyl, because they're all made.
Wow, it's
They're all made.
very
Yeah,
amazing.
they're all made by hand. They're all
Wow,
single
wow,
passes basically.
incredible.
But they're out today, and they basically, it's just him and me just fooling around with this equipment, and with some stuff that I manipulated with modern equipment, with my equipment. But it's
Very
basically
good.
all live takes. They're all one. They're all
Cool.
recorded live. So there's 8 tracks, 2 vinyls, and they're out today, and you can find it on the Stoor
Nice.
Bandcamp.
So what an amazing thing!
Amazing.
Printing just the numbers of the records that you want. Yeah, it's an amazing. Yeah, you printed like
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's of course for the people who really like to collect the vinyl and who want to have a lasting, actual product in their hands. But it's all on SoundCloud, and it's all on YouTube, so people can, everybody can listen to what we've done. But it's just, if you want to buy it, there's
It's a
no
very
digital.
collection.
Yeah, there's no digital sales, so it's either just streaming or it's vinyl.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
Fritz,
Okay.
hey, our Fritz, that's the guy who is cutting the vinyl here in Stoor. He's
Proud guy.
a very important part of the crew here, Fritz.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Respect.
Absolutely.
So great people, great to hang out. I mean, we could have talked for hours,
For hours.
more. Let's do it again sometime.
Actually, we started half an hour before then.
Yeah.
Next one is after I start my modular. After I start my modular, we're gonna do again. Okay. Thank you, Jochen, for this.
You too. Thanks all for being here.
And very nice.
Thank you.
Very
It was
nice.
really a pleasure. Grazie,
Nice to
Andrea.
meet you, Andrea. It was very
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks,
Gaetano,
Andrea.
good to see
And
you.
thanks also to the people who've been watching this on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. And have a nice evening.
Absolutely.
Ciao, ciao.
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 Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.